Hi, it's Deborah Lee. I'm enjoying reading my book. It's amazing. God downloaded this book to me. I wouldn't have been able to write this book and have the memory that I had to write this book if it wasn't for the Lord and the Holy Spirit, who's my helper. So where did we get up to? We got up to Iris is going out on her first date, my mother's mother. So I left off where she was getting ready, and I shared that she was still a virgin and she was 20 years old. She was very young, but she kept her virginity till she was 20. So as she walked the short distance to the movie theatre in the chill of the early evening, she felt so warm inside her body and had a sense of feeling complete in some way. It's amazing what love can do for somebody, it can heal. And there he was. Her heart leapt and her tummy had butterflies. You know that feeling. We all know that feeling. She felt her cheeks go all warm. There was that temperature feeling again. That temperature feeling. Oh dear. And she loved the way he made her feel. We love that way that they make you feel. Jerome leant towards Iris, pulled her close to him, and with a warm, gentle kiss on each other's cheeks, they greeted one another. Oh, he was French. You know how French men and European men, they give you a kiss on both cheeks. That's really lovely. They don't do that. People don't do that anymore. Anyway, that was lovely. He put his arm around her waist and guided her into the cinema, as he had already purchased the tickets. So he put it, gently around her waist and guided her like a man should do. As they watched the movie together, Jerome placed her hand inside his and cradled it with his other hand. Isn't that beautiful? So he cradled her hand. This man knew how to love. Iris's heart was racing. That man was so gentle yet strong, and she felt safe being so near him. She had no fear, just a warm sensation that came all over her and all through her body. A calm feeling like she'd never ever felt before. She felt at home, settled in her heart and mind, and just wanted him to hold her all night. Spaghetti-o. Spaghetti. Oh dear. Later, when Jerome walked Iris to his small flat above a milk bar, because back in the 50s, 60s and 70s, you had the local milk bar where you got all your milk and bread and a lot of groceries. A milk bar in Oakley's main street. Those feelings overtook her that night, and they made love. She felt so alive. They kissed with deep and long, like it was a cool breeze on a hot summer's night, and she felt their bodies melt into each other. Their love making felt like a piece of art. So he was able to, coach her up into his bedroom. Iris. So again, their lovemaking felt like a piece of art, like a long dance, filled with harmony, as if music was playing. After hours of making love, they went for a walk under the light of the moon and the stars. Jerome stopped walking and turned to her, taking hold of her hand, and he whispered, "Iris, I said it to you the first time we met in the cafe. I can't live without you. I can't live without you." Iris looked into his eyes, jumped forward and wrapped her arms around his neck and kissed him deeply. He then walked her home. They kissed again for a long time and remained standing together for what seemed like eternity. Each not wanting to say goodbye. You know when you meet that person and you just don't want to say goodbye? So every night that week and the weeks that followed, they took long walks, talked, ate together, laughed and made plans. They made passionate love in his flat above the milk bar. And they held each other, caressing and kissing for hours. Jerome came to the cafe every morning just to breathe in his newfound lady. One Monday morning, however, he didn't show up. Iris worked all day, continually watching the door with each customer coming in, knowing there was nothing she could do but wait for her shift to end. Finally, she was able to run to his flat to see what had happened to him. When she got to his place, he was there. Letting her in, he sat her down close to him. Both were most upset as he revealed he'd been conscripted into the French army and would have to go for military training, which meant returning home to his country. Iris didn't understand. Don't go, she begged. We love each other. If you get killed, I will surely die. He answered, oh, Iris, my sweetheart, I'll be back. Our love is forever and always. Iris trusted Jerome and his words, so simply asked, when are you going? When are you going, Jerome? On Friday. But it's Monday. That's only 4 days. I know. Let's just enjoy the last week in each other's arms. Can you get some time off from the cafe? We can go on a ride on my motorbike and see the ocean. I've heard about the 12 apostles and the mountains. We can make love wherever we find a place that's discreet. By the river, under a tree, as long as it's discreet. So Jerome and Iris filled their last 4 days together with love and passion. On the Thursday, the day before Jerome was to leave, Iris felt a little unwell. And suspected she might be pregnant. She didn't want to tell him, as she felt he had enough to go through without adding that burden, reassuring herself with the hope that he'd return quickly once his military service was over and they'd be married. On their last day together, Iris met Jerome in front of the cafe and got to have one of her dreams come true. She would be a customer in that same cafe where she had worked so hard, and would be sitting with the man of her dreams. Oh, isn't that just so beautiful? My sweet lady, Jerome declared, I want to sit and relax with you while we have breakfast together. How exciting for her. I want to sit and relax, he said. Iris tasted her first slice of French toast. And as the honey ran down her chin, Jerome reached over, smiled and gently wiped it off for her. They laughed and they ate as they shared how wonderful their lives were going to be. Halfway through their meal, Jerome said, Iris Isabel Jean, will you be my wife? Oh. Jerome took her hand and cradled it as he always did, and asked again, will you be my wife? All of her dreams had finally come true. She felt as if angels from heaven filled the place, and she could hear that beautiful music again, the same music that used to play when they made love. What felt like hours before she answered was really but a moment what Iris thought. Why, God? Why does he have to go away? She squeezed his hand as if to never let it go and felt a deep love well up inside her. At that moment she said, yes, yes. Jerome kissed Iris gently on the cheek and said, let's eat up so we can go for a ride in the mountains. Iris and Jerome finished breakfast, and before leaving they announced the exciting news of their engagement to her boss and work friends, and how they'd all be invited to the wedding once he returned from France. They were all so happy, and Iris felt like her life had just begun. As Jerome started up the motorbike at the front of the cafe, Iris hopped into the sidecar and they both fitted on their helmets. They travelled for hours, visiting the 12 Apostles and other tourist sites. The road was long and adventurous, and the ocean was so beautiful and crystal clear. When they found a safe place, the name of my book, Places. When they found a safe place near a stream, looking across the mountains, Jerome laid down a blanket and they made love out in nature. Wouldn't that be beautiful if you're with a safe person? Iris felt safe with him, for he carried peace in his heart and was a man of strength, courage, and romance. At that time, as that would be their last time in each other's arms. The day ended too fast for both of them, and they parted in tears. Iris took the Friday morning off work, dressed in the same outfit she'd worn on their first date, and hurried to the wharf. When she saw Jerome, she ran and leapt like a magnet into his arms, kissing him. With wanting not to be pulled apart. She did not want to be pulled apart. As they said their goodbyes, something felt wrong, and they both knew it, but they didn't understand. A week later, Iris was still feeling very unwell, so she went to her family doctor, who confirmed she was several weeks pregnant. She was probably, I think she was probably like 4 or 6 weeks pregnant. No, she wouldn't have been. Anyway, she was pregnant. I've written this a long time ago. She lived in hope of Jerome's return. By the time she'd reached the 8th month of her pregnancy, Iris had saved enough money to give up work for the final 4 weeks. All those months on her feet had taken a toll on her, as had waiting and looking at that door each time that maddening bell announced a new customer, longing for Jerome to walk back into her broken life. During those 4 weeks, she would get up early every Thursday and go and sit in the cafe, just as they had done that day he'd left. She would place her order for French toast, French toast, knowing it would be Jerome's favourite. Since he'd introduced it to her, it had become hers as well. She felt sad, as she knew Jerome was French, but because their relationship had happened so fast, she had never asked him anything about his place of birth or anything about his family. She'd just taken it for granted that they would be hers to discover. Once he returned, when they would get married and have the rest of their lives to share love and enjoy times together. I'm just going to have another drink of my Kerry cup. My lovely tea. Yeah. Anyway, Iris gave birth to a son, who she named Daniel. She could see Jerome in his eyes and continued to long for his return, but he never did. he never did. When she finally tried to find him, no one had any information or had even heard of him. She became very broken and lost her trust in people, since she realised he must have lied about who he was. That romantic encounter had not only taken her purity, but had left her without a husband or a father for her son. And this is back in, the 50s. Actually, sorry, no, back in the 30s. Oh, these years. I haven't read this book for ages. This was a long time ago, that's what I'll say. It's a long time ago. I think it was the 30s. Eventually, she gave up all hope of his returning to her, but felt maybe if she had shared her suspicion of being pregnant with his child, knowing she was a virgin, he would have realised that it had not been just a stopover love affair for her. Now it felt like she had had a son to a stranger. As she could find no evidence that Jerome had even existed. She also doubted her mind. And this is the beginning of Iris's downfall into depression and not trusting people. And, when something like that happens to a woman, it's a massive wound. Anyway. Had she not had their son, she wouldn't have thought she had gone mad and dreamt him up. Yeah. Iris also felt guilt and a lot of shame, especially in that time, having a baby. Night after night was filled with nightmares of war and bombings. She was having nightmares of wars and bombings. She would see Jerome being blown up, running, screaming, with limbs missing, and lying in the dirt. Iris felt in her heart he was dead, and a part of her died too. Because Jerome was signed up to the army, I would say that this man had died. Because I believe in all my heart, and knowing my grandmother, that he did love her and he was coming back, but I believe he was killed in the army, which is very sad. Tormented by her beloved's possible cause of death, she would wake during the night screaming in fear and horror to find her bed and nightgown saturated in sweat. That would disturb her son, so they would both be crying. Terror, torment and fear had come into her life and her son's life. And so I'll end that there. And that just shows you, babies, when they grow up in a family, like what's happened here to Iris, the trauma, 1 minute she's loved and she's cherished and she's held and she's doing the dance and love making and everything's beautiful, and then the next minute she's on her own with a little baby boy. So there's a major wound that came into my grandmother right there. And as I share this story, and I share the wounds that happen to us as humans, and I will be sharing probably in the months to come also the healing that we can get because of these wounds. I've had a lot of healing in my life from all the wounds that I've been through. And beautiful Iris, 1 minute she's floating on clouds and the next minute, she's in a room in her father's house with a baby boy. So, yeah. So that's where we're up to today. We're still in chapter 1. We're getting nearly to the end of chapter 1. I hope you're enjoying my story. Please let me know in the comments, because I'm sure you can comment on here. Let me know that you're enjoying the story of Places, my true story. And please, if there's any prayer, people out there, pray for me that I get my 50 followers, subscribers, so I can come on live and share more things as time goes on. So God bless everybody, and hopefully you enjoyed my gum tree today. And that's a mulberry tree, and I've got lavender, I've got rosemary. What else have I got out there? I've got basil out there. I've got silver beet out there. Passion fruits. Oh, and I've got, what's it called? Fennel. I love fennel, baked fennel with olive oil drizzled on it. I also love cooking. So anyway, love to everybody. Hopefully you've enjoyed the book so far. God bless. See you soon. Bye.